how do they get started on that journey? How do they get through the analysis paralysis that ends up producing nothing, and then they paralyze and end up conforming themselves to whatever situation?
Great question.
Here's a very important question for the audience, people that are watching this. A lot of people are going to be watching this. From my experience, Ted, working with people, having hundreds of staff. I got 120 in this marketing company. I got 150 on the supplement company. Got a lot of people that I deal with. I'm going to say that if I had to guess the percentage of people that are extroverts, that they like attention and talk to the world, they really like to communicate and get on cameras and just be there presenting themselves and their bodies, might be like somewhere around 5% or
probably,
less.
Probably.
So what would you say to the most, like, there's people that are watching this video right now, listen to this podcast. They have this message and they really want to change with their products and services, with their information, with their value that they know they have, that changes the life of somebody else. But they don't feel this confidence in themselves of turning on that camera, pressing record and talking to the world, or getting on stages. What would you say to these people, which is the most of them actually? How do they get started on that journey? How do they get through the analysis paralysis that ends up producing nothing, and then they paralyze and end up conforming themselves to whatever situation?
Great question. So like two or three things, right? So I think the first thing is like, what are they an expert in, right? And there's so many people, like there's people who work with companies and are experts in technology. Like we work with a lot of business experts. They teach something in technology or sales or marketing or, or real estate or finance, right? So like, what are they an expert in, right? First thing. Second thing is like, what are three things they want to talk about on that topic, right? So let's say they're an expert in finance, of like how to invest intelligently in the stock market. Okay. What are three things in that area that you want to talk about? Write them down, right? Sit there with somebody like you or me or their spouse who literally just ask them a question. So if the first thing is how to get a 10% return, I'm just making this up. Great, Joe, how do you get a 10% return? And he naturally knows how to answer that question.
I love that.
Right? And so he gets comfortable just talking to one person. And he'll talk and talk and talk and talk and talk and talk, right?
Wow.
Second question, same thing, talk and talk and talk and talk. So if you want to give a stage talk, right? A stage talk is actually, if you're communicating to 1,000 people or 500 people or whatever, you're literally communicating to the audience, right? So you have to be in conversation with the audience. And when I speak to an audience, I literally walk down into the audience, I talk to the people, I ask questions, I engage like I'm having a conversation, right? I think that's the best type of speaking. So if you think of speaking as a communication and not really I'm presenting, but it's a communication, then you could practice at home with somebody to literally ask you those three questions. You'd be so natural and so normal that when you got up on stage, you just think about, okay, what's question one that I got to ask? And you just talk.
Wow, that's great. I've never thought about communicating the way that you communicated it.
Yeah.
Like when I have people asking me, how do I get started? I just say, like, just hit record and just go.
Yeah.
Right? Talk to the camera.
Yeah.
But this is a great.
Such a good tip.
Guys, this is genius right here. Because what you do is, this is a great gradient for the ones that are like people like me, people like Ted, right? We don't have to worry about it. We just press record and off we go. We have cameras around and it's always like, hey, why are you not recording me?
Exactly.
On the contrary, right?
Exactly.
But people that are, they want to get started someplace. They want to get going, but they don't know exactly how to get going. I want to repeat exactly what Ted just said right now, because this could be very powerful and game-changing to any of you. You're going to have somebody else that's important to you, maybe that you feel full trust in, that it's not going to make you feel awkward.
Exactly.
A husband, a wife, a brother, a sister, a son, whatever. You're going to use one of these incredible devices that we have in front. You can have that person hit record, try to not even look at the camera, have that person in front of you, ask you 3 questions about your subject that you're an expert in. And here's the thing, if you're watching this video, if you're on this podcast, if you're on this YouTube channel, whatever that may be, you have a brand or a business, or you're trying to build a brand for a particular product or service that you're passionate about. So you have information that can change the lives of somebody else. If you didn't, you really wouldn't have a business, right? That's just the way it is.
True.
So that information is your superpower, and you take it for granted. And that's something that I've noticed, Ted. People take for granted the value that they have, their information.
Completely.
Because they talk about it all the time.
All the time.
So how do you crack through that? You turn on, you have your brother or sister or mom or whatever, click on that record button. and you have that person in front of you, ask you 3 questions that you know you will be able to answer, camera on or camera off, and you do it all the time. And then you start seeing yourself.
And you get comfortable.
And
it's like, it's the perfect gradient, right? Like grade 1, then grade 2, right? And then if you're going to go speak on a stage, what do? Same thing. Have that person sit in the front row and ask you the question and drill you, right? Then you get comfortable talking to the front row, have them go a couple rows back, and then have them ask the question from afar. Then finally have them go all the way to the back of the room and ask you the question from afar. So now what you get used to is putting your anchor points out, and you get used to communicating at a longer distance, right? Like right now we're communicating to each other. If this was a room, you'd be like, so, right? You'd be communicating with more intention and you'd have more loudness to it. So that's all you do. And if you do that over and over and over again, somebody's gonna get comfortable. And you know this better than anybody. Like if you're gonna go talk to an audience, right? There is an audience there. And most speakers are just in their head. So they're telling this story, they're pacing on stage, and they're literally just talking to themselves, right? Which the best thing you can do at the beginning of talk, if you're gonna stage talk, you get in communication with the audience. Hey, how many of you wanna hear about this today? It's not a technique. People think that's a technique. It's literally getting in communication. How many of you would like to hear about booking stages today? Come on, how many of you would like to hear this? Okay, me here, right? How many of you like this? And I even start seminars like, what did you come here to learn this weekend? And then the audience starts telling you all these things, and right there, you're in communication.
I want to mention something that you just said right now. Notice what Ted just said right now. What did you come here to learn today?
Yeah.
What would be a different way to go about, which is incorrect? What did you guys come here to learn today?
Right.
So instead of addressing that one person,
that's right.
You would be surprised of the impact that creates.
Yeah, that's right.
Eliminating the word guys that just talks to the masses, and specifically talking to you, the other person listening to me on that end of that communication line. That could happen also on the internet, right? Social media, on a video. Yeah. If you talk to that one person, people feel a little bit more connected to you, right?
Exactly.